Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm doing my reading wrap up for August. I read over 20 books this month. It was a very big and overall really good reading month for me, and I'm so excited. So let's delve into my mini reviews of these. Okay, so let's start off with a cozy mystery I really enjoyed. This is book 3 in the Ice Cream Parlor mystery series by Collette. This is a killer Sundae. I love this. I did an ice cream themed cozy mystery vlog this month. I'll link it above if you want to check it out. And this was one of the books I read. I love it. I've read the other books in the series. They're just very charming, very cozy. We have an amazing main character, Randall. She is very business-minded, very savvy, very family-oriented. Her family is just a hoot. I love them. She's got 2 really unique best friends that are just really standout side characters as well, and the mysteries are always really solid, so I just definitely recommend this. It actually does take place during like a fall festival, so we're going into the right season for this. Definitely a very fun read. This next one my mom actually lent to me because she really enjoyed it and she thought I would as well, and she was right. This is The Last Thing He Told Me by Laura Dave, which is apparently like a huge bestseller. Like, I'd heard of it. It's a Reese's book club pick. I think it was a Goodreads pick for a thriller, and this one is very interesting. Our main character in this is Hannah, and she's in a relationship with a man named Owen who has a stepdaughter, and the stepdaughter is about 16 years old, and they don't see eye to eye. The stepdaughter's not thrilled about her. You know, I don't think it's anything personal necessarily, but she's not happy about her being in their life. And basically, one day her husband just disappears after this big scandal at his tech company. He disappears, but he leaves Hannah a note that says protect her. And she's really confused about this. They're trying desperately to figure out what happened, and her and the stepdaughter actually end up bonding as they try to figure out what happened to the husband/dad. And I just love this. It's not a traditional thriller in the sense of you're constantly, like, the main character's in this, like, danger constantly, but it's very, like, suspenseful. It's very, like, psychological. It's really, you're pulling apart the secrets of this man's past because by all accounts he's just this regular, you know, really likable dude. He has, you know, a great job. He's really kind to us. He's, like, a great father to his daughter. The ending for this broke my heart. Like, ripped it out. I was in tears. Definitely a very emotional read, but very good. I really enjoyed this, so thank you, Mom, for lending this to me. Next one is a new cozy mystery series that I am loving. I read the first book this month and it was great, so I can't wait to get more. This is Curse is Boiled Again by Shari Randall. And this is actually the Lobster Shack mystery series. Shari Randall is actually also known as Mary Allen in the cozy mystery space. She writes the Ice Cream Shop mysteries, which I adore, and she'd offered to send this to me, and I was just so excited. So I started this series. I read it for a recent pet sitting vlog. I'll link it above as well if you want to check that out, but this was amazing. Our main character is Ellie, and she's a professional ballerina dancer, but she has recently, like, twisted her ankle, really injured it badly, so she's in recovery, and she's working at her aunt's lobster shack in the meantime because her aunt had lost her husband within, like, the last year, and she opened this business because it was kind of a dream of hers, and she wanted to throw herself into something new, maybe as a distraction, and just continue connecting with the community. I love her aunt. Her aunt is, like, stellar character. So Ellie and her older sister are helping out, and her aunt is actually invited onto this competition show, and she's going to be showing off her lobster roll. This will make you so hungry for lobster, by the way, and I've never had really good lobster, so I need to get on that. But I love a cooking competition, or like any type of competition at the center of a cozy mystery. I love it. And of course, something goes awry at the competition, leading to a murder mystery investigation, and our main characters are trying to clear their aunt's name because all the contestants are suspects. So I love this. Very cozy, charming. I love the characters. I thought the mystery was really solid for this, and it was just perfect. I think this is especially great for, like, the summertime. Feels like a very summery cozy mystery, but I'm looking into getting book 2 now because it was just so much fun. It's such a fun one, and like a nice ocean setting. I loved it, so definitely recommend this series. This thriller was kind of insane. It was one of those thrillers that was very improbable, at least I hope so, but very fun. So this is Every Vow You Break by Peter Swanson. The lies start with I do. We have our main character Abigail, and she's engaged to this man named Bruce Lamb, and he's like this extremely wealthy man, very, like, high powered, and it was like a whirlwind romance. She's really excited. She's kind of wondering how she was so lucky to end up with someone who's kind of out of her, like, social or economic class, I guess is kind of the implication. But on her bachelorette party, she ends up cheating on him. But she goes forward with the wedding, and they're going to this remote island for their honeymoon, and it's like this kind of club that he's been a part of for a while. Like, he has like kind of connections there. It's like very exclusive, very remote, lots of wealthy people. She gets there and all these weird things start to happen. She also notices there's a distinct lack of women on the island for the most part. It's much more dominated by men. Crazy things start to happen, and she actually sees someone injured outside her window one night. But when she like alerts like the employees, like the staff at the place, they assure her nothing's wrong, and she's convinced something is. It's really creepy. I had some like gasp moments for this, like that really threw me for a loop. The ending, like I said, it's a pretty crazy. It's a little far-fetched, but it's definitely just like a wild, fun time. So I thought it was fun. Definitely an interesting read, fun time. I gave it like a 3.5 stars. You know, definitely had a really good time reading it, but not an all-time favorite. Another one I read this month was Eat, Drink, and Drop Dead by T.C. Lotempio. This is a cozy mystery series that started this year. It's book 1 in the series. It's the Tiffany Austin food blogger mystery series, and I liked this. This was a pretty short one. I think it was like 250 to 80 pages, so it was under 300 pages. Our main character is Tiffany Austin. She's a food blogger for this magazine, and basically this person at the magazine who was up for the same kind of job as her ends up dying, and she and other people around her are a suspect. So she's trying to clear her name. What really stood out to me with this mystery series is that she has both a cat and a dog. So that's always great. I loved all the writing snippets and like behind the scenes of like the magazine, and she's like a food critic, so what could be better? All the food tidbits and the writing tidbits, amazing. She has an interesting relationship with the like detectives on the case, which I thought was really interesting, and the ending for this, oof, was really good. It was really heart-pounding. I was able to piece it together, but I thought it was just so well done. I really enjoyed this. There's only one book out in the series, but I'll definitely be keeping my eyes open for the next in the series. So another thriller I read this month is Thicker Than Water by Megan Collins. And this, I love the cover for this. How gorgeous is that? I like, you can see the two main characters actually facing off kind of here. Our main characters in this are Julia and Sienna, and they are sister-in-laws. They're connected by the brother, Jason. So they are actually just amazing friends. Like, ever since they met through Jason dating one of them, they've just become really close friends. They're very different personalities, but they just meld together so well. They actually even started like a business together, and it's just amazing. Except one day, as it happens in thrillers, the brother is actually rushed to the hospital, and he's like in a coma. He was in some kind of accident, and he's also a suspect in the murder of his boss. And they are just completely shocked, because this is, you know, a very upstanding man, like a very nice person, and his sister is especially like, there's no way. But as they start to investigate, more and more clues seem to point to the fact that maybe he did actually do it. So it's really intense. This was a really fun read. I think 3.5 stars is about right from what I would rate it. Again, just a really fun read. I had a blast reading it. I loved the dynamic between the two sisters, and the ending for this just, it got me. So this is definitely this was an anticipated thriller release for me this year, and it definitely delivered. I had a really great time with this. And again, I think the relationship between the two is what really stands out. So if you like family dynamics or best friend dynamics in like a thriller or mystery, I think you'd like this. Okay, the next 5 we're going to go through in rapid fire because I went in depth. I did a collab this month with Tiffany from Beachbum Bookworm. I will have part 1 and 2 up above, and we recommended 5 books for the other to read that we hadn't read before, and I'm going to go through the 5 she recommended for me very quickly. She did an amazing job. If you want more in-depth reviews, click above for this. I started with Assaulted Caramel by Amanda Flower. This is the Amish candy shop mystery series. This has been on my own TBR for a while, but this prompted me to finally read it. Incredible. I think like a 4.5 stars or so. Really solid read. Main characters are amazing. Family dynamics. I loved learning about the Amish culture more, and I'm really looking forward to continuing this series. It's just so well written. The mystery was really great. The character's got a big heart for everyone in her life. Beautiful to see. I just loved it. So definitely recommend this. Similarly, we have The Darling Delilahs and the Cucumber Tree by Susan Whitting Albert. First book in this series, historical fiction, takes place during the Great Depression. You're reading from multiple points of views from different women in this garden club. Amazing. Like, I'm really trying to get into more historical fiction, and this was a really solid one for me, so recommend that. My favorite of the bunch, though, was Getting Old as Murder by Rita Latkin. This is the Gladdy Gold mystery series, and Gladdy Gold is a 75-year-old retiree. She lives in this retirement community. Some of the community members actually start to die, and it's suspected that it's not, like, they think it's natural at first, but Gladdy and her friends are starting to put together some things that kind of make it alarming and seem like it's not a natural death. But the detectives won't really listen to them. They're kind of swiping them to the side, whether that's like ageism or they're just, you know, like, we don't have time for this, there's no reason to think so. So Gladys and her friends start to investigate. Hilarious, punchy dialogue, humor, it's just so much fun. The mystery for this, I pieced it together just before the conclusion, but it knocked my socks off. It was so good. Actually fairly dark. I mean, still very much a cozy mystery, but a pretty dark motive considering. So good. I cannot wait to read more in the series. Gladys is a masterpiece. Another one I read was the Sophie Kimball mystery, Botched for Murder by J.C. Eaton, which is a husband-wife writing team. This one was like a 3.5 for me. It wasn't an all-time favorite. I definitely want to try more in the series. Sophie is living near Sun City West, Arizona, which is a retirement community. Her mom and her retired friends live there, so there's a lot of involvement from them. I thought they were a really spunky group. Her mom got on my nerves a bit because she's always calling Sophie, but it's also kind of adorable at the same time. And Sophie actually works as like a bookkeeper at a private investigator firm, so it gives her some access to things. The mystery for this was very good. That was the strong point for me, was the mystery plot. The ending was very action-packed. It was really good. It actually really surprised me, and I just loved it. So I thought this was really good, fun setting. And the last one she recommended, this was also on my personal TBR and she nailed it. This is the Christmas Tree Farm Mystery Series by Jacqueline Frost. This is the 12 Slaves of Christmas, which is book 1 in the series. I know book 4 is coming out shortly, so I need to catch up. My library has book 2 and 3, so I'm already on hold for book 2. This was like a 4.5 stars. I loved it. It's Christmas themed. I mean, what could be better? It takes place with our main character returning home to her parents' Christmas tree farm. They do all these reindeer games, Christmas events, I mean everything you could want in a Christmas themed cozy mystery. The mystery was good. There was a pretty solid romance. If you like romance, there was a pretty good subplot there that was kind of developing, and I just loved the family dynamics, the Christmassiness, the mystery was great. Everything. So Tiffany, thank you again. You did an amazing job with these. The Trade-Off by Sandie Jones. So this was a thriller. I actually knocked this out yesterday, and I'm gonna say 3.5. It was good, but not my all-time favorite. The ending for this, definitely very like just high risk, like definitely felt the heart pounding for it. Basically, we're following 2 main characters for this. We're following Jess, who is new to the Globe, which is like this kind of celebrity reporting newspaper and like, you know, online newspaper as well. And then we have Stella, who's like this very experienced reporter, and she'll do anything to get a good story, including like set people up. Like, I mean, she will pull strings to make a story, whereas Jess is very new to this. She's a little wet behind the ears, I think is what you'd say, and she's also determined to stick to her morals. So this is kind of, you're following around both characters' perspectives, and it's kind of a question of how far would you go for success. And it's very interesting. I liked it. So if you are interested in kind of like a journalist setting, this one is very heavily like that, and I really liked the questions it brought to light as you were reading it. Definitely very thrilling, very fun, very character driven. This next book I would not recommend to anybody, and I feel really bad saying that because I do like this author. And normally, even if it's a book that I really didn't like, I can see why most people would like books, you know, like I can put myself into someone else's shoes. But this book, the ending was honestly so disgusting that I advise please skip it. Like, if I could, like, unread this book, I would, and that I really don't say that lightly. This is I Know Who You Are by Alice Feeney. I love Alice Feeney's other thrillers, like Daisy Darker, His and Hers, one of my all-time favorites. The ending for this, just disgusting. Honestly, I mean, I know thrillers are dark, they go there, they're usually not like pleasant motives, of course, it's not cozy, I'm not expecting that, but this was honestly so far out of left field. Do not recommend this. Where you're basically following around this actress, and her husband disappears, she's accused of it, her secrets are coming out, you're going back and forth between the past and like her childhood, which was very dark, hard to get through on its own, but then the ending for this sealed the deal. Was absolutely like kind of, I can't even, it didn't even make sense. There were so many holes in it, but then it was just such a disgusting choice, and it was kind of purely chosen for the fact of surprising the reader, but there were all these plot holes and it was just so unpleasant. Please, if you really want to read this, at least look up some like warnings beforehand just so you know what you're getting into, because I would have avoided this had I known. This next one was just kind of a boring thriller. It was interesting in the sense of like a drama if you look at it more from that perspective, but it really wasn't super thrilling, and I thought it was pretty predictable. This one is called What the Neighbors Saw by Melissa Adelman. This is the cover here. This is I believe a debut author, and this is described as Desperate Housewives meets the couple next door. Basically, Alexis and her husband move into this like shabby, like rundown house in this exclusively like wealthy neighborhood. They're gonna like, you know, rebuild it. There's a lot of exciting things going on. Alexis is pregnant with their second kid. Sam is about to become a law partner in like his firm. So lots of big things on the horizon. Basically, somebody's husband is found murdered, and Alexis strikes up a friendship with the wife of the person who was murdered, and things start to happen, and it's just, I really disliked the ending for this because I thought it was really predictable, but I also was just disappointed. I don't know. I was disappointed because I thought it was predictable, but then I just felt like it felt very rushed. I felt kind of like, oh, okay, and that's kind of where we're ending. Okay, like, I don't know, it just didn't feel quite right to me. I liked the general premise. I would consider reading something else from this author because I thought the writing style was really well done, but I just wasn't in love with the plot personally, so it's kind of like a 3 stars, like just right in the middle for me. Not great, not one I would like strongly recommend, but if you're interested, if it sounds really good to you, I wouldn't be like, don't read it, if that makes any sense. A thriller that I read this month that I loved was The Only One Left by Riley Sager. I gave this a strong 4 stars. This is really fun. Basically, it feels you're isolated on this island. Our main character is Kit, and she's a caregiver, and she's going to start taking care of this woman named Lenora, who is now like into her 70s. She's had a stroke. She can no longer talk. She communicates via typewriter. But the scary part is that Lenora, when she was like in her late teens or so, was accused of murdering her entire family. So think like Lizzie Borden is kind of the inspiration for that. And so even though she's too physically frail to hurt Kit now, it's still very creepy. And as Kit is there, Lenora starts to confide in her through the typewriter and wants to tell her what actually happened that night, the famous night. So it's really suspenseful, really fun. I highly recommend it. The isolation, it gets a little soap opera-y at the end, but it's all in good fun, I think, and I loved the pacing, the characters, the suspense, the setting was absolutely bone-chilling, so highly recommend that one. Chilled to the Cone by Ellie Alexander, a strong 4 stars. This is part of the Bake Shop Mystery Series, which takes place in Ashland, Oregon. We have our main character, Jules. She works at Tort, which is a family bake shop that she runs with her mother. There's lots of amazing relationships between her and her mom. The employees, they all have fleshed out backstories, which I love, and this one is ice cream themed, which fit perfectly for that vlog. They're opening kind of a second location for the summer where they're going to sell frozen treats and stuff, but then while they're at that new plaza, somebody ends up being found dead, and they think that he might have saw something he wasn't supposed to, and that's why he was murdered. So Jules gets on the case. I love this. I thought the ending was really, really great. It really threw me, and it's definitely a delicious one for summer. Gone for Gouda by Korina Moss. Definitely recommend. This is the Cheese Shop Mystery Series, book 2. I loved this. I've been meaning to get to this for a while. And our main character is Willa. She works in Yarrow's Glen, and she has this cheese shop that's like French inspired. You learn all about cheese. Really fascinating. There's this recipe for cheesy apple pockets, which I have bookmarked in the back because I want to make them. They sound so good. Essentially, Willa is going to be hosting this vegan influencer, Phoebe, who's very famous, at her cheese shop. She's throwing an event, and Phoebe will be talking about vegan cheese options, and she's really excited for the publicity this will bring the cheese shop because it's their first year in business. But Phoebe is actually found to be a fraud when these photos reveal that she actually does eat meat, which of course enrages the online, like everybody, because of course she's been claiming to be vegan. That's like part of her branding. So it's a big, slap in the face for everyone. Shortly after, she's found dead, and then Willa is on the case because one of her employees is actually a suspect, or a person of interest at least, in the crime. Really, really good. I didn't see the ending coming. It completely, I was so far off, like completely on a different wavelength. So the author completely fooled me with that. It was a very suspenseful ending, really good, delicious recipes. I love the writing style for this series and this author. It's so easy to immerse yourself into Willa's world through her writing, and I just highly recommend the series. I can't wait to read book 3. Another one is A Deed of Dreadful Note by Patricia Meredith. This is historical fiction cozy mystery, and our main character in this is Anna Catherine Green, a real life author, and she actually created a lot of mystery tropes that Agatha Christie and Sir Arthur Conan Doyle and other big mystery writers used, but she was about 20 years earlier before them, and she actually kind of created many of these tropes that we know and love today, but doesn't get as much credit as she should. She's a very prolific mystery writer. I'm actually planning on reading some of her work now because this book introduced me to her, and Patricia Meredith does an amazing job. Basically, we have her she's 25, she's living with her father and her sister, and her father is a lawyer and owns like his own practice, and one day one of his clients is found dead, and this young woman is accused of the crime, and Anna's like, there's no way, it can't be her. So she starts to kind of investigate alongside her father, who's trying to prove the woman's innocence. So amazing. This book made me cry because there's a really emotional subplot. There's a couple of them, but some of these subplots for this made me cry. Like the ending for this like crushed my heart in like the best way possible when you're reading, but it was just so emotionally charged. The mystery, I was completely fooled. I was flabbergasted. I don't know why I didn't see certain clues, but I didn't. It was so good. I love her writing style. I'm a big fan of her Spokane Clock Tower mystery series. I've read all 3 books that are out in that. Highly recommend that as well. This is a new series that came out in May. It's really good. Really recommend it. This one was really interesting. This is Stay Awake by Megan Goldin. And some of you recommended this to me because I'd read some of her other work. I read The Escape Room last month and I did enjoy that. This one was interesting. Our main character basically wakes up and on her arm it says like stay awake in like big letters like Sharpied on or something. And she can't remember anything from like the past 2 years. So it's very suspenseful. And 2 years ago she was thriving at a successful magazine. She was in a relationship. She was really happy. She had friends. And she is now 2 years later, she's woken up in a cab. She asks the cab driver to drop her off at her apartment, and she doesn't live there anymore apparently because other people open the door. Her roommate is nowhere to be found. She finds out that she can't, like if she falls asleep, she forgets everything from the last 2 years. So she's trying to piece her life together, and it's really intense. This was a very intense book. I'd say 3.5 to 4 stars. I had a really good time reading it. It's definitely one of those thrillers you really have to suspend disbelief for it to work, but I found it worth it. I thought it was fun enough that I really enjoyed it, and I thought I had a good time reading it. So for me, that's what I'm looking for, especially in a thriller, is a good time. Another one that I DNF'd this month was Scoop to Kill by Wendy Lynn Watson. This I read for the ice cream vlog. Again, I only got like, I don't know, 80 pages or so into it. I just didn't like the writing style. The main character was like in her mid-30s, I want to say, and she was just so immature and like very corny, very childish. Like her niece, who was like 16, who was like 18 maybe, was way more mature. There's basically a murder that happens on her niece's campus, and I don't like the writing style. I wasn't that intrigued by the mystery, honestly. Even when like the murder happened, I was just kind of like, okay, which isn't exactly the reaction you know, I want to be like absorbed, immersed, like interested, of course, in the actual plot, and this it just didn't really connect with it. One I loved was A Pocket Full of Rye by Agatha Christie. Fantastic, 5 stars, absolutely loved this. This is a Miss Marple mystery. I'm working my way through those, and basically this man is murdered, like poisoned, in his office one day, and people are trying to piece together why, and he's found with a literal pocket, like his coat pocket is full of rye, like the grain, and nobody can figure out why, because that's very random. And his family is getting together. They're very wealthy. They have like this family estate, so I love the setting already. The family's getting together. There's some pretty awful people in that family, but in like a fun way. Miss Marple ends up arriving because she knows one of the characters and she wants to help, and she puts it together, of course, because Miss Marple is awesome. The pocket full of rye, like that detail, I had no idea until they revealed it. I highly recommend, don't read the summary for this one or like the synopsis for this one. Just go into it blind. I highly recommend that. That's how I did it, and I thought it was a lot better that way, because when I looked up the synopsis later, it revealed a little too much for me. So skip the synopsis if you don't know already. But it was so much fun. I didn't call the ending. The ending really got me good, and I had such a fun time with this one. It might be, I don't know, it's one of my favorite Miss Marples so far. So just again, family estate, family drama over inheritance, like those kind of common tropes, but just done really well because it's Agatha Christie, so of course it's done really well. Okay guys, that is the last book I read this month. Thank you guys for sticking with me to the end. Please let me know, what did you read this month? What would you recommend, or what would you tell me to avoid, or other people? I'd love to hear your thoughts. thoughts. And if you've read any of the books I mentioned, I'd love to hear your thoughts, even if they're different from mine. That's what makes it fun. Thank you again for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I do post new mystery content in the cozy mystery, thriller, and historical fiction genres on this channel every single week. I don't want you to miss out. So I'll see you guys soon. Bye.